Want to get creeped out? Welcome to Just a Little Stitious.
Where things go bump in the night, and sometimes it's just your fridge. Or it's us tripping over the furniture.
Or it's something terrifying, lurking in the dark. It's your favorite sisters.
Us.
Megan
and Jess.
We're sisters.
Yeah.
And hopefully your favorite.
Hopefully.
And if not,
fuck off.
I was going to say we're going to change that with this episode.
Oh,
you know,
that too.
Jess is quite aggressive, if you hadn't picked up on that already.
There's always got to be one aggressive one.
Exactly. Jess made me a cappuccino.
I make really good cappuccinos.
She does.
I've never had one, but I've heard they're quite good.
They're fucking amazing. If I do say so myself. I don't know why I'm saying if I do say so myself. Maybe because you're my sister, so I'm biased, but it's actually delicious.
No, your wife also said it was really good. Made her one once,
nice.
And my husband loves them also.
Okay, well, there we go. We have multiple testaments as to how good her cappuccinos are. So hopefully one day you get to try them. I was going to say, if we're not your favorite sisters, hopefully we'll change it with this episode. And also, I was talking to Fen today.
Fen?
Yeah, Fen.
Oh, Fen. Okay.
Yeah, they were saying that we're so different, but that we're really good together on the podcast. So hopefully you guys think that too.
We are very different.
We are really different.
Very different.
But also similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Similar mindset, similar way of thinking, just different.
Similar values.
Yeah. We're just different at the way we go about stuff.
Yeah. Our personalities are really different.
Yeah. I'm aggressive.
You are aggressive.
But not in a physical way, just in a normal way.
You're really
in
funny.
A good way. I'm aggressive in a good way. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a no nonsense kind of person. I'm a no bullshit kind of person.
Funny story. It's not really a story, but every person pretty much that we've ever dated and our sister has all called us aggressive.
Yeah.
But not in an aggressive
So we're loud people.
We're really loud.
We're very loud.
We're very open with our emotions. Well, not all of us. You and I are.
Yeah. Dad just told me we had mine and my son's birthday dinner last weekend. I was just talking and he was like, stop yelling. I was like, I'm not. I am talking.
You are the loudest out of all of us.
I'm very loud. Yeah.
So we just did a live on TikTok. If you don't know, we go live on Thursdays.
We just decided that.
Yeah, but by the time they see this,
it will have
already been happening
for several Thursdays.
Our batteries just died on our equipment, so we had to kind of start over.
You died when I specifically asked you not to.
Rude. Anyways, if you guys didn't know, we're not superstitious.
We're just a little stitious.
Exactly. And we do have some merch if you want to check it out. And also, if you want to check out our Patreon, you get stuff like this with it.
And a t-shirt and stuff.
Jessica?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear about... I'm going to give you the choice.
Okay. For real, I get to pick? Or I'm going to pick one, you're going to be too bad.
No, I'm giving you the choice. Because I have two things that I could talk about today. And if you want to hear one more than the other, then I'll tell the other one next time.
Okay.
So do you want to hear about a really crazy haunted cabin? Or do you want to hear about a possession?
Possession.
Okay. So this story is about a girl named Flora, which is an awesome name.
I love that name.
And she...
Very Italian.
Well, she's not Italian at all.
Oh.
She's from Montreal, Canada.
Oh, Montreal.
But she's actually not French either. Her family immigrated.
From?
So, Asia.
Oh.
And this story is super crazy.
Okay.
And it's really good. When she was 16, she headed back to Macau for this summer to visit family, which is in Asia. And her mom told her that her uncle and her cousin from Indonesia would also be visiting for a week. She was at the house doing her own thing, watching TV or reading a magazine. And the door opened. Her uncle walks in and she describes him as a lovely, warm man, very small, 5'4", really short. He smiled, gave her a hug, and was very sweet. She's meeting these people.
Right.
They're her family, but she's meeting them. Then behind him was his son, a small, scrawny boy. He had a bowl cut. He was hunched over. And Flora described him as looking like a wilted person.
Oh.
Not good.
Yeah.
She said that he walked as if he had cement in his shoes. He kind of dragged one of his legs. She found this very strange because he was 7 or 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And her brother was not much older. And he was hyper bouncing around, not at all like this cousin that just walked in. Flora said hello to him, tried to make small talk, but he didn't want to engage with her. So she just accepted it and moved on. However, the boy began following her around. He still wouldn't talk to her. but he followed her in a way that she felt was strange. He would kind of be hiding while he's following her.
Oh.
Okay. This made her feel really weird. Like she almost felt like she was being stalked by him.
That's fair.
But she also wasn't too concerned because he was 8 years old.
Well,
or 7 or 8 or something.
right.
Where they were saying was next to a kids park where children would normally be playing and running around. But when they were there, the boy showed no interest in playing or going outside.
Weird.
He would just sit and watch TV in the living room while Flora read a magazine in the dining room.
Weird.
One day she was sitting in front of a large mirror at the dining table and she slowly looked up, but just using her eyes. She didn't move her head. And she saw that her cousin was spying on her from the living room, from behind the sofa. She felt very uncomfortable. She stopped reading, turned around, and asked him what he wanted. Because she saw it in the mirror that he was watching her. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's creepy.
The boy came over and asked what she was reading and asked if he could see her bra.
Yikes.
Ugh. Flora was confused and asked what he was talking about. She told him to just go watch TV.
I already have a thought.
What's your thought?
He's possessed by a creepy man.
Oh, really? You think?
Yeah.
You're going to have no idea where this story is going. It's so crazy.
Does she end up being the one that's possessed? Is it her?
No.
It's him. It's the boy.
Yeah. She says, go watch TV, but he's insisting he really wants to see her bra. And she obviously refuses, tells him no, and tells him to go away. And she ends up moving upstairs because she's like, this kid's weird.
No kidding.
She told her mom and her dad about the situation and asked why he was speaking like that. And her parents replied that he was just being a kid and being silly. They said it was harmless.
Well, okay. I have children that age. It's weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird.
But Flora accepted this explanation. She's 16. She accepts it and just thinks maybe it's a phase that boys go through.
Oh, fair.
But throughout the day, the boy continued to follow Flora around. But he also didn't just do this to her. He did this to all of the women in the house. One day, he even walked by Flora's mom and slapped her butt.
That's his aunt?
Yeah.
Ew.
And her mom reacted and was like, "Ayo, don't do that," and walked away. Jesus. The adults at first were treating it like a little kid being silly. But Flora felt very uncomfortable and just wanted him gone. But then one day, Flora walked by a room where her mom and her aunt were talking. They were gossiping, chatting. She was kind of listening. And she overheard them saying that his behavior was not normal. They questioned why he was saying things like that at such a young age. And they said it made them uncomfortable and made their skin crawl.
Well, yeah.
Flora had overheard that the boy had behavior problems back in Indonesia. And this was why her father had brought him back to Macau. The purpose was to take him to a healer that the family visited. After hearing all of this from her mom and her aunt, Flora had a pit in her stomach. She felt like what she was experiencing with her cousin was just really scary and not child's play.
Yeah, no shit.
She said her mom and aunt even seemed scared. The behavior did not stop. The boy continued saying creepy things all week. Again, Flora didn't feel completely threatened physically because he was 8 years old. She was like, I could take him.
Yeah.
But she was deeply creeped out. It was extremely hot outside one day, around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Flora chose to stay inside and sit in what she calls the breakfast nook because it was her favorite spot. It was where all the good snacks were.
Nice.
And it directly faced the air conditioning. She was sitting alone reading a magazine and the boy came over to her. By this point, it was midweek and he had been there for a few days. Flora reacted immediately with annoyance, rolls her eyes at him and goes, "What?"
Yeah.
He approaches her and said she was pretty and tells her she shouldn't sit there. And Flora's like, "What do you mean?" And the boy says, "You're sitting under that thing." Flora realizes that next to the breakfast nook was a shelf with porcelain items. And on the top shelf was a statue of Guanyin, the goddess of mercy, as her family is Buddhist. Her dad would give incense to the statue every morning. Flora asked the boy if he meant Guanyin. The boy told her to turn the statue around because he didn't want to look at it. He said, "She's a killer. Turn her around." Flora questioned what he was talking about and said, Guan Yin is the goddess of mercy, the opposite of a killer. The boy insisted he didn't want to look at it and then walked away. Flora noticed that whenever she sat in that spot, the boy would leave her alone. So she began spending a lot of time there. He would either stay away or come over and tell her to get rid of the statue.
God, what a weirdo.
At the end of the week, Flora's family followed their routine in visiting a healer because they would do this every week.
Oh.
And on this particular visit, her dad said that her uncle wanted to come as well because his back was hurting. And they were also going to bring her cousin because of his behavioral problems.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. The hope was that the energy session might cleanse him or calm him. It's also good to note that Flora describes this day as a beautiful summer day with a blue sky.
Okay.
Flora, her father, her uncle, and her cousin all went to see the healer. They crossed the border into China to reach the healer's home. And the healer's home only had 2 rooms, the living room where people would wait and the healing room.
Oh.
The rooms were connected and the door to the healing room was left open so people could see inside.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Flora said that the healer was jovial, warm, happy, just a really nice woman. And she greeted Flora warmly, gave her a hug. She greeted Flora's father. But when the healer looked at Flora's cousin, she immediately said she would start with him first. Normally there was a different order, but she insisted that she was going to start with the boy.
The creepy kid first.
Yeah,
Got
exactly. She spoke in Mandarin and told him to come sit and lie down on the massage bed. The cousin refused to enter the room. He asked why they were there and said he didn't want to go in. He repeatedly refused, saying, "No, I'm not going in. You're not doing that to me." Despite his resistance, he was placed on the bed.
Well, you are 8.
Yeah, exactly. There were small chairs along the wall, and that is where Flora and her uncle and her dad sat and watched. The healing room only contained the bed, the chair near the patient's head for the healer, and a large poster of Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy, on the opposite wall. The healer remained calm and smiling, and she asked the cousin, "Who are you? What's your name?" The cousin began sniffing.
Oh no.
Sniffing. He was
like a dog.
Yeah, he was like doing that.
Creepy.
And Flora said his hands kind of became claw-like, and he started moving them rapidly, like similar to a squirrel.
What the fuck? Jesus.
The healer told the father of the boy to put his hands on his stomach to keep him from moving around. So he did that.
Wow.
She placed her hand on the cousin's forehead, the boy's forehead, and he began moving his head around rapidly.
What the fuck?
And Flora said he looked like a trapped animal. She said his nose and mouth, it looked like they were squishing together kind of as he made these strange noises. And he began speaking in a dialect that Flora did not understand. Flora's father also seemed confused, and the uncle began translating what the boy was saying. And this is when Flora realized that this was not a dialect that her father knew, which she found surprising. The uncle explained it because he was shocked, and he said the boy was speaking a very old dialect from their region that no one spoke anymore, no one taught anymore.
Oh, okay. Weird.
But the uncle, he knew the dialect. He had been taught the dialect. So he continued. And the cousin is still moving around weird, sniffing. And in this dialect, he said, "Who's this? Who's this person? She smells like a killer. She smells like a killer.
What the hell? Fuck.
Who's this person?" The healer remained very calm and would repeatedly ask, "What is your name? Who are you? Get out of this child."
Oh, God.
This is just interesting because this kid's acting super weird.
Yeah.
Everyone's clocking it. They get to the healers. They don't say anything to her. And immediately
she knows.
She knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boy says, "Get this killer away from me." And Flora said at this point, the room started to smell like a wet animal.
Ew.
Yeah. Then the boy starts like foaming at the mouth and spitting.
Ew.
She felt like her cousin was no longer present whatsoever.
God, is he possessed by like a fucking hellhound?
No.
Oh.
But you're closer.
Really?
Yeah.
So
the healer continues asking, "Who are you? What is your name?" And then the boy says that she doesn't need to know his name. She says, "I need to know your name. Get out of the child. You do not belong in him." The entity responds and says, "I'm staying in him." And then addresses the father of the boy and says, "Daddy, this person is killing me."
Oh, no.
So then the healer says she's going to ask the goddess of mercy to help. and she pointed out Guan Yin and says that the goddess is present. And at this point, Flora feels her knees buckle. Like she is like sensing something in the room. She felt like everyone was in serious trouble and she was really afraid.
Well, no kidding.
She said the energy in the room felt super thick. The air felt heavy. And it felt difficult for her to breathe.
Yep, that'll do it.
The smell of a wet animal became overwhelming at this point, and the cousin is still spitting, moving weird, sniffing. Now he begins coughing repeatedly and keeps repeating, "Please stop killing me. You're killing me. Daddy, help me. This person is hurting me."
Wow.
The healer then corrects him and says, "That's not your father."
What?
Because, like, she's speaking to the entity. Like, because the boy is saying, "Daddy, she's killing me."
Right.
So the healer says to him, "That's not your father."
I see.
Yeah. He keeps going, "Daddy, Daddy, she's killing me. She's a killer. She smells like a killer. Why are you killing me?" So the healer continues, "No, you're hurting this child. Please come out. Get out now. You are not the son." The healer remained calm the whole time. She was even smiling. She was totally chill.
Wow.
This woman's not worried at all.
That's crazy.
And she just keeps firmly telling this entity to leave the child.
Oh my God.
At this point, the boy starts coughing up this white, clear mucus.
Ew.
And for Flora, this is too much. So she decides to leave the room. She goes into the living room, but she can still see everything that's going on from there.
Right.
The father of the boy, he starts wiping the mucus from the boy by using tissues. And when the tissues become full, he brings them out to Flora to show her how dirty they are.
Gross.
The uncle said the smell was extremely putrid and disgusting.
Ew.
It started to smell in the room like dead carcasses left out in the sun for days. When the tissues were full, the uncle would take them to the bathroom and flush them. And Flora was like, I thought he would have to burn them, but the healer was like, just flush them down the toilet, which is interesting.
Yeah.
As he's coughing this clear white mucus, the healer is going a little bit more, get it out, you don't belong here. And finally she says, "Huli tule." Huli means fox and tule means come out. Flora was overwhelmed. She was scared. She's wanting to shut down, close her eyes and sleep in a corner. She's terrified. She looks out the window and sees blue sky with no clouds. And suddenly it turns pitch black and begins pouring heavy rain. There's thunder, like a torrential rainstorm that just came out of nowhere.
Wow.
She was confused because the forecast had said that it would be a beautiful day all day. No clouds, no overcast, nothing like that. And behind her, she's looking out the window now, she can hear the healer chanting a Buddhist prayer, asking Guan Yin to come and help cast the spirit away. The boy is still coughing. He's crying now and repeatedly saying, "Don't kill me. Please stop. Please don't kill me." And the healer just keeps going, "You need to get out of the kid. I have to get you out. This is not where you're supposed to live." The coughing became more violent, and then suddenly everything stopped and cleared. It felt like the last of it had come out and washed everything away, and immediately the storm leaves, the sky returns to blue.
Ew, what the...
And the air lifted as if everything had just released itself. Flora says that the craziest part of all this is that a completely different version of her cousin comes out of that room. His posture is straight up. He's bouncing up and down. He's smiling. He's talking. His energy is just completely different. He's skipping around like a normal child.
What the fuck?
And he goes up to Flora and says, "Hey, I feel better."
Great.
And she's like, "You feel better?" And he's like, "Yeah, I feel better."
Oh my God.
Later that night, her and her family, they all go for dim sum. Flora's mom and her brother comes, and they all just observed this little boy now playing with other children, laughing, playing with cars, with trucks, jumping up and down, interacting happily, just having as what Flora describes as the brightness and liveliness that children have, you know?
That's crazy.
She says this energy is something that adults just can't replicate, which is true. Think about your kids. You can't replicate their spark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is when she starts to remember this folklore about fox spirits. And she had never thought that something like that could take over a child. But in Indonesia, the boy's house was built on what was described as a foxhole.
Okay.
She believed that this was why the spirit entered him. She believed that he was targeted because he was the weakest in the family, being a child. He was also the only child in the neighborhood.
Wow.
And initially, Flora had thought that something was kind of not necessarily possessing her cousin, but like The vibe she initially was getting was like a creepy old man.
Oh, well, that was my initial thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was saying really sexual things,
Yeah,
right? So that's where your mind
weird.
goes. But she thinks that the spirit was trying to corrupt him and make him behave in a disturbing way so that it would distance him from the rest of the family. So her father explains this as people like have good chi or like a magnetism
Right.
that can protect them and protect
Right.
others.
Right.
And if people are uncomfortable around the child, they're not wanting to be around the child, then that child is less protected.
Right.
And become easier prey for the spirit. After everything happened, the family was preparing to leave, and Flora was sitting in her favorite spot in the house, which was the breakfast nook, reading a magazine, having a cup of coffee, and she noticed her cousin, who seemed, like I said, like a completely different person, and he skipped over to the breakfast nook. Under the breakfast nook was a cupboard where snacks and chips and all of the best snacks were. And he grabbed his snack, climbed onto a bar stool, sat right beside Flora, asked her what she was doing, and the statue of Guan Yin was right there. He did not react to it, didn't seem to notice it at all. Flora found that really significant and surprising.
Wow.
He seemed to have no memory of anything from before the healer. She ends the story by just saying it felt like a completely different person was in the house and like the child came back to the child. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's crazy.
So there's two things I want to talk about here.
Okay.
The first is we recently did a possession episode on Anna Eklund, who was Catholic, and that story was very focused in Catholicism. But I think it is worth noting that people who have these experiences with possessions, it seems like these entities or demons or whatever you want to call them have these reactions to all different holy icons. It's not just Catholic icons.
Yeah.
And it just seems like holy icons or talismans from any religion hold power. And I think that's really interesting and something to really think about. My question is do those items hold power because of the belief in them? Or do they hold power because everyone's belief system is somewhat real?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. It's like Tinkerbell, man.
If you believe in her, it's real. She's real.
Exactly. If you don't, it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
If nobody believes in it, it doesn't work. It's not real. And the power of the mind. Okay, yeah.
The power of belief, the power of the mind.
Yeah.
The power of our consciousness.
It's the strongest thing that anybody has.
1,000,000%. The second thing I wanted to talk about is after learning about this story and hearing about this story, I decided to take it upon myself to look into fox spirits in Chinese folklore and mythology.
Okay.
And this is what I learned.
Let's hear it.
They are shape-shifting entities and are basically foxes that have supernatural powers that comes over time, usually 50 to 1,000 years.
Wow.
The older they get, the more powerful and human-like they become. The most powerful ones can transform into humans.
Oh, I hate that.
Speak multiple languages or mimic voices.
Oh my God.
Possess or influence people, which checks out for this story. Manipulate energy, often described as chi, like Flora's father mentioned.
Right.
They're not all evil. Some are benevolent, which means good. Some are enlightened beings or protectors. In certain traditions, they might bring luck, wisdom, or spiritual insight. Some are also dangerous and can be tricksters that are deceptive, manipulative, and self-serving, and they can often test humans, especially emotionally or sexually.
Yuck.
And then some are downright malevolent.
Yeah.
And might possess humans, especially those they see as weaker or emotionally vulnerable. So Flora and her father hit the nail on the head with all of their observations here. Possessions by one of these entities can cause sudden personality changes, speaking unknown or ancient dialects, animal-like behavior, clawing, sniffing, erratic movements, aversions to sacred objects and deities, and it is believed that they feed on humans' energy, sometimes through fear, sometimes through emotional distress, and sometimes through sexual energy.
Yuck.
This might leave victims drained, isolated, and socially rejected, making them easier to feed on.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So basically, these spirits are known to do exactly what Flora and her father thought, intentionally make a host behave in disturbing and inappropriate ways, to isolate them from others, withdrawing their protection and making them easier to feed on.
God, that's creepy.
Yeah.
God, I hate that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, I have little kids, so I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't think this is necessarily true, but I feel like we live in such a modern world.
Right.
Like, we live in modern houses, we live in cities, we live in places where, like, where something ancient might not want to hang out.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I feel like, yeah.
And I feel like with this story, they lived in a small village. This village was very old. They lived on a spot that was called the Foxhole.
Yeah.
So my point here is not that I necessarily think that we're safer living in this modern world or modern environment, but maybe something ancient doesn't want to come hang out and watch people play Mario Party or Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it is true. It's very creepy. I don't like it. The thought of like just any kind of entity, like being so intentional, like knowing what they're doing, like seclude you so that they can
feed on you
and like get more access to you.
Yeah.
That's some shady shit.
And that's terrifying.
It is. Like, that's awful.
It's interesting too, because I think about this, which is, would I rather be someone who's possessed or be around someone who's possessed? And for me, I always think, I don't really want to say this out loud, but I always think I would rather be the one experiencing it because seeing it would be so scary.
Oh, yeah.
And the person experiencing it kind of like comes to and they're like, I don't remember what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But seeing that would fucking ruin my life for the rest of my life.
It also depends who you're seeing it from, though, I feel.
Well, if it's when you're really close to.
Yeah. Like if I was like, if it was a stranger, I'd be like,
no, but that's what I mean. Like someone you're close to, like someone you live with, your partner or your parent or your sibling or your child or like whatever. Like I would rather not see that.
Yeah, I'm on the other end. I would rather see it
than experience it.
I'd rather see it and have like everyone else experience it except for me for that exact reason, so that I can be the one that's traumatized and they can just be okay afterwards. Just a quick little exorcism, back to normal for you guys. Now I have therapy for the next 50 years.
And the therapist that probably doesn't believe you.
Yeah, literally.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, with this story, it's kind of scarier to think about it that way because it's like that child is really the one being preyed on. You know what I mean? I mean, and same with all the other cases, but it's just very obvious with this one.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
So we mentioned earlier that we were doing a live tonight investigating this haunted doll here. I just want to tell you guys what happened tonight. I received this doll today. And I received it from a woman who I'm not sharing her name. So I was like, what should we call her? And Jessica was like, Elizabeth. And then I was like, okay, let's say Liz. So I told the story and I'll tell you guys the story in case you didn't see the live. Liz sent me this doll. Her great grandmother passed away about 1.5 to 2 years ago. And they found this doll when they were cleaning out her great-grandmother's things. Liz decided to take it home and within a few weeks started to experience paranormal activity. Some of the things she experienced was, for instance, one night, her and her husband are in bed and the door to their bedroom just opens. They'd never done that before. They had lived there a long time. Door just opens. They don't know why. She would also like hear voices in the house, not like in a crazy kind of way, but like she'll be doing something like cleaning or watching TV and it sounds like someone's speaking in her house and then it just goes away. The first thing she experienced is for several nights in a row, she was hearing knocking inside of her house, which is really weird. Activity went on like this for the entire time that she's had the doll. And the reason she decided to send it to us is because she watches the podcast. She watches the TikToks, but her husband is, as she describes it, sorry to her husband, a wuss. And she says he was starting to get too freaked out. She doesn't feel like whatever is attached to this doll is negative, but she's like, maybe you guys can investigate it. So I received this doll today and I don't know when I get a doll immediately if it's haunted or not, right? Like some dolls, there seems to be some energy to them and you can tell. But if I do have any psychic abilities, I need to flex that muscle because I am not someone who just automatically knows.
Right.
So we did the live, we had the REM pod, we had the millimeter, and we had the spirit box. So a couple of things were noticed. The REM pod went off a couple times. The meter we watched as the temperature fluctuated quite a bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes getting hotter, sometimes getting colder. The electromagnetic field we noticed would sometimes spike really quickly. Like would only be for a couple of seconds, and it would spike at one point to 6.
Yeah.
And normally it's at 0.
Yeah.
And then it would go back like pretty quickly to 0. We also used the spirit box, and we learned, not only that, but we also had a psychic talking in our live with us. And it was really crazy because she would say things that she was picking up from the doll, and then the spirit box would confirm it.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Yeah. So we learned that, and this is also really weird, that the spirit attached to this doll is a 10-year-old girl from London, England. Her name is Elizabeth. She likes to go by Liz. That was most of the important details that we learned. Oh, she was alive and passed away in the 1920s, and that she passed away because of the war. Am I missing anything?
She passed away at the same time as her sister.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Who was 5 years old, named Sophia.
Yeah, she told us about her sister.
Yeah, in the house.
She asked for candy.
Yeah, she asked for candy. I put some toys in front of her. She liked my daughter's. It's like a
teddy bear head type thing.
It's like for a Barbie. It's like those cutie reveal things.
Yeah.
That's a head. And she liked that.
Yeah. And I want to note, we're not called Just a Little Stitious for no reason. We truly don't jump to the conclusion that everything is haunted. Even with all of this tonight, I'm not always immediately convinced, but I do think that it's interesting to collect data.
Yeah.
And it's also fun to believe, number one.
Yes.
And number two, it's fun to believe, but I also still question a lot. And so does Jess.
Yep.
But also when you get data like that, when you have a psychic who's communicating with you.
And the spirit box is
confirming what she's saying.
It's hard
compelling.
It's hard not to believe that.
Yeah. So we'll be investigating haunted dolls. We will also at some point be investigating haunted places when it gets a bit nicer out.
It's cold here.
So that was really interesting, and that was a really fun live. Anyway, so we're going to wrap this one up. It's been a long night.
Bedtime
for us. Bedtime for Liz. I'm going to take her home. As I like to say, we love you, little fuckers. So
see ya.
Oh, and if you have any creepy stories about folklore, the paranormal, cryptids, strange encounters, send it to us
at justalittlestitiouspod@gmail.com.
And check out our Patreon if you feel like it.
But you should.
You really should. And you should also probably subscribe if you liked this. And if you want to get really crazy, you could like it. You could comment on it. You could tell us, hey, cool. Liked this story. And you could hit the notification bell and find out when we post if you wanted.
You're really feeling generous.
Yeah. We would love that. Anyways, That is it for this one. And we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Just a Little Stitious. If you like stories like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And before you go to bed tonight, make sure to check under your bed, just in case that sound you heard wasn't the fridge.